This week on the Media Boss Podcast.
Listen, you don't have to be the one, and that's important to know. If you want to grow, you need to be able to delegate tasks. I was lucky enough, I remember in high school, just having a really hard time even typing up book reports. I remember going to Kinko's. For those of you that remember Kinko's.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to another episode of the Media Boss Podcast. My name is Dr. Barrett Matthews, and I am happy to have you here on the show today because I have a great guest, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Barrett, get enough already. You always say you got a great guest. Well, I can't help it. I do. So it's just one of those things. I can't help it. I'm blessed with some great people on this podcast. So what is the Media Boss Podcast? The Media Boss Podcast is for those people out there who are looking to reach more people in your business. So let's say, for instance, if you have a business and you know that there are more clients out there for you, well, this is the podcast for you, because what we want to do is show you how to use media to go after all of those paying clients, those people that want to pay you, but just don't know you. And we use it by using all media all the time so you can be everywhere all at once. Okay? That's what the Media Boss Podcast is about. So one thing I want to do is have you do one thing right now. Make sure you're subscribing to the podcast, but make sure you're sharing. Let everyone know that you are listening or watching the Media Boss Podcast so that they can be a part of it too. Don't be selfish. Make sure you share it with everyone out there. And I want to tell you this. I have something for you as I always start off every podcast, and that is something I like to call the Media Minute. Now, what is the Media Minute? The Media Minute is where I take a second just to tell you guys a little something about media that can help you or something that can inform you, just a tip or some news or something you need to know. And today is for those people who are using books as part of their media. If you're writing a book, one thing I want to make sure that you understand about your book cover and your book title, it needs to grab someone's attention. So that if someone's walking by your book and they see the cover, it should grab their eyes, it should pop, it should make them connect with it. Because if it does that, then they're going to pick it up. Now, here's something that a lot of people don't know. People look at your book title to see if they want to read the subtitle. The subtitle is what tells them what the book's about. The title can just grab their attention. The subtitle tells them what the book's about. And you know what they do then? Then the subtitle tells them if they want to flip it over and read a little bit more about you or the book itself. So understand your book itself, the title and the cover needs to grab their attention so that they can do all those things, because it's a buying process. So they have to go through those steps before they decide if they want to actually buy the book. So that is your Media Minute for today. So I am excited to have this guest with me today, man. I'm really excited. Let me tell you why I'm excited, because it's rare that you get someone who is a powerhouse. And this gentleman we have with me today, he is a powerhouse. And his name is Nik Tsoukales, and I am just excited to have him. Let me tell you a little bit about Nik. He is a 3-time, not one, not two, but 3-time Inc. 5000 awardee. Can you imagine that? Inc. 5000? 3 times. Jeez. And he's built 2 successful businesses from the ground up, and he has over 75 people, staff working for him. So this man knows what he's doing, and he's been able to help other companies approaching $100 million in revenue by managing their marketing. And he is here today with us on the Media Boss Podcast. So Nik, I want to welcome you to the podcast, my man. Welcome to the Media Boss Podcast, brother.
Hey, thank you so much. And your intro, man, it just lifts up your self-confidence. I feel so much better.
well, good. I'm glad. Look, man, I feel great having you here. I really do, because you and I share something in common. We like outsourcing.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
And I have an expression that goes, in order to get, because I wrote my first book was called Why Didn't You Get It Done? So I tell people, in order to get it done, you don't have to be the one. So
Listen, you
what I
don't
was going
have to
through
be the
here.
one. And that's important to know. If you want to grow, you need to be able to delegate tasks. I was lucky enough. I remember in high school just having a really hard time even typing up book reports. And
Mm.
I remember going to Kinko's. For those of you that remember
Oh
Kinko's,
yeah. Oh yeah.
24 hours open for
Yes,
business.
sir.
Walked into Kinko's with a bunch of crumpled up papers, and I said, "Hey, do you guys offer any type of typing out service?" They're like, "Yes, we can type it for you, bind it for you, put it in a
Yes.
cover." They're like, "What kind of business do you have?" I was like, "It's just my book report," and I paid like $20, and it got done. And I delegated. Then I got in trouble for doing it because they found out that Kinko's did it for me. But you know what?
Really?
Maybe I was onto something. I don't know. Outsourcing then, get good people.
So hold on, let me get this straight. Because you got in trouble not for not doing the report, but for just not typing it.
Yeah, I was supposed to type it up, get on home row back in the day when you're
Oh
learning how
my
to
goodness.
type. I just wasn't good at it. My hands would hurt. It was excruciating for me. I
And
didn't have money for a computer, so I just went to
yeah,
those and I got in trouble for it. But you know what? It looked beautiful.
and I'm sure it did. And as I think about it, when I was in college, I probably would have gotten in trouble for the same thing. But I guarantee kids won't get in trouble for it nowadays.
No, they definitely won't. I don't even think they have book reports anymore.
They may not, but that's interesting. So, like you said, you may have been onto something. What made you decide to take that further?
Well, listen, I grew up in a household where my father was always an entrepreneur, and I didn't understand the concept of entrepreneur or business owner. So in my neighborhood, there were, you would ask a kid, "Hey, what's your dad?" And he'd be like, "My dad's a fireman." The other guy's like, "My dad's an accountant. My dad's a this." My dad owned pizza shops, donut shops, a
Nice.
distribution company when I was a kid, a provisions
Wow.
company. He always had his hands into something. And I remember one day actually asking him, I was like, "Dad, what do I tell kids that you do? Because I don't know, are you a donut guy? Are you a
Mhm.
pizza guy?" But my dad never made pizzas in his restaurant. Well, later he did, but early on, in donuts, he never cooked the donuts. He wasn't a baker. He didn't even know
Yeah.
how.
Yeah.
But he was good at putting all these smart people together and putting
Smart.
together his teams. And he told me, he goes, "Just tell him I'm a businessman." And I was like, "Businessman? What's a businessman?" And later on, I discovered it's this new trendy thing called being an entrepreneur. It's just putting
Yes.
together people that could be highly skilled. You don't have to be a baker to own a bakery. It helps. It definitely helps, no question about it. I own a digital marketing agency. Am I the smartest guy in my company? I think there are people working for me that are actually more highly skilled, but I think I
Mhm.
might be more skilled at putting together these geniuses, and they're all geniuses that work at Real Top. But I think they're in their particular channel, they're better than me, and that's one of the things.
I agree with you, man. I have a friend. He always said that. He said, "Look, the person that created Uber never drove a cab. The person that did Airbnb never owned a hotel, or a B&B for that matter. It's just it's the fact that if you have the idea, and I heard one of my mentors. He said we're in what we call a conceptual age. So if you got an idea, a concept, you can turn that into something that's worth billions. And so I agree with you 100%. So I want to talk to you about that whole concept you talked about with your dad and which you're incorporating now. So how difficult is it to build those teams?
Well, it is difficult, and you can't lose your sight on priorities. So one of the things we do is we have to scout talent, obviously, right?
Okay.
When we're growing a particular media channel, we might master it ourselves at first, but if we're going to do anything at scale, we need to find people that are going to be better at that particular channel that us, or at least have the capability. But it's not just that.
Hmm.
I think the first thing you need to do is when you're staffing talent in any company, you need to make a list of priorities and you need to stick with those priorities. And
Okay.
and for us, our number one priority is loyalty. Okay.
Okay.
Are they loyal, not just to us, but the people around them?
Yeah.
Okay. Are they brutally honest? Because you don't need a bunch of yes people around you, yesing bad ideas. You need people that are open and honest, and you need to respect that.
Hmm.
Third thing we look for is, are they obsessively crazy hard workers. And I know this is cliche, but literally, you need to have the type of team where you need to tell people to take vacations. Okay. I don't have to, for the most part, I don't have to tell people to work harder. I need to tell them to take time off. Those are the types of people you want. And then the next thing is intelligence, right? Because if someone is smart, you can train them in a particular thing. And then the next thing is experience. And almost 90%, probably 90% of the time, I don't get experienced people. But if they hit, that's the one thing that I allow to be kind of a joker, right? All those other things, if I can check all those things off, then they're in, because I can teach you something. And if you're smart enough, you can be resourceful enough to figure it out yourself. Information's cheap and free. You know what I mean? Or it's free. Forget even the cheap. It's free. So if someone is savvy enough and they're resourceful enough and they hit all those buttons, that's a team member, you know, and that's what you want.
I like that. Now, I'm curious. So how do you gauge the loyalty factor?
You know what's funny? Sometimes I don't necessarily have a way I approach something, a specific trait I'm looking for, like a specific cue.
Yeah.
But I know the trait that I'm looking for. Okay. So if I'm looking for loyalty and I talk to someone and I get a sense, you know, if someone has been at 25 companies in 2 years, you know, if you're doing an interview with someone, and usually I'm not doing interviews, usually I'm meeting someone and they're informally being interviewed through our interaction, and then I offer them a job a month later, right? But if they start telling me how much they start ragging on everyone around them, including their boss and teammates, and why that company stinks so bad, chances are they're not loyal, because they're willing to go to me and tell me how bad the place of work is. You know, I think that's stuff you can keep to yourself. But you know, if they're going to do that with their current employee, you don't think they're going to do that to you. So, you know, I want people that are obviously extremely loyal to whatever position they're in, whatever team they're part of. And I want them even before they're looking for another job. So, you know, that's way, but I don't have the cue. I just have the sense.
I got it. And that's what makes you unique. I mean, it's that being able to have that sense. So when someone comes to you and they want some help with their marketing, what is the first thing you look for when you're looking at a client?
No, the first thing I look for is what's working already.
Okay.
And I'm sure you've seen this in the media business. People definitely have shiny object syndrome.
Yes.
And obviously, and especially in the age of TikTok and Instagram and social media, where it's so easy to get caught up and I need to be, you know, whatever the next guy is doing, I need to be doing what they're doing. So usually what I do is, you know, we rarely work with startups. So we're typically working with established businesses, 20 people and up, more conventional style businesses, right?
Yeah.
The law office, the construction company, whatever it could be. And we literally say, hey, how long you been in business? 10 years. All right, let's check that box. How many people do you have? I got 20 people. Check. All right. Right there, you know, you didn't get there by mistake.
Yeah.
Something worked. Right? Something worked. So the first thing I say, hey, how are you getting on your business? How are you getting it right now? Okay. You know, just word of mouth. Okay, let's talk about that. Before we completely re-engineer your customer acquisition model, let's talk about your referrals. Tell me about your referral system. I don't have a system. You don't have a system. And you're this busy and you're successful and you're driving a Mercedes and you're in the vineyard every summer. Well, you must have a hell of a product and a hell of a service, because you're not even intentionally marketing it and it's doing well. Let's double down on that. Okay. Let's put together a client gratitude system. Let's thank them a little more. Let's stay in touch with them a little bit more through social media. Let's get an email newsletter out to them on a more consistent basis. Let's give them a valuable piece of content, right? Let's take what you're already doing that's successful, and maybe that's just good old-fashioned referrals, which is great. Let's double down on that. Let's augment that as much as possible, right? And sometimes it's the opposite, where someone says, I'm spending $100,000 a month on Google Ads and I'm just not getting the right cost per acquisition, but it's got us to this point. Okay, let's look at that. Let's try to make that more efficient. Let's refine it. So I would say the first thing is, what's working for you now? Okay. There was a great book called the 80/20 Principle of Sales and Marketing. I forget the guy who wrote it, but it was just so obvious. It was like, 20% of your efforts are 80% of your revenue, 20% of your clients are 80% of your revenue, that type of thing. So usually the first thing I do is I go into an organization and actually just start trimming back all the crap that people are doing that isn't just effective. And once we nail down the thing that's working and it's hyper efficient, we're doing it better, then I might start creating some new channels that we can explore. And that seems to work like a charm, every single time.
Now that leads me to my question, because with me, when I work with people and trying to get them to allow me to help them with their media, a lot of people, they say they want help, but a lot of them, their minds not opened up to the fact that they can use all media all at once. Do you find that most of your clients are open-minded? Or most of the people you run into, rather, not necessarily clients, but people you talk to are open-minded?
That's a great question. I would say it's 50-50.
Okay.
Some owners are
But I
just
don't feel so bad.
Hey, fulfill this channel, do my Google ads. And they don't pick up their phone for 6 months, and we do it and we send them reports, and that's that. And we do a good job, and they're happy. Then you have other clients that they want to get together and they want to come up with new ideas and they want to be strategic and they want to explore new channels. And those are the best. Those are just fun.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, that's when the light bulbs are going on.
Yeah.
Brainstorming sessions, and it's all good. But some dogs are gonna die, and that's just the reality, and they're gonna die usually because they're not open-minded. They're just trying to milk the machine for whatever they can get until they retire or die off. And if that happens, that's got to happen more often than not.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. So I gotta ask you, man, Inc. 5000. Talk to me.
Yeah, don't ever do it. Just don't do it. If you meet anyone that says Inc. 5000 and they have all those plaques on the wall, you're gonna find a very stressed out human being that's reinvested a ton of beautiful net profit into creating gross sales. I'll tell you how we did it. We my other company, so I own a financial services company, and that's really how I learned marketing, by starting my own company and trying to grow it and just learning things. We hit the ground running early on with a lot of strategic relationships, referrals, right? Referrals from strategic partners that were just easy referral sources, free business. That sort of, I would say, that dried up just for some technical purposes and regulatory reasons. We couldn't maintain those types of relationships anymore. So we needed to use an alternative way of getting business. So we got really into search engine optimization. We dominated #1 on Google. We crushed it. And I say we, I mean, I was literally the marketing guy doing it all day long.
Right.
With a little technical support. That's it. And then we started growing. And then when we sort of tapped out what we can do SEO wise, we got into Google ads, and we started putting money into the magic box, as I called it. I'd put $1 in, it would spit out 4. I put 4 in, it would spit out 16. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. So we went from spending, $1,000 a month to quickly 10 to 20 to 150. Because the more money we put into the machine, the more money it gave us, and it was free money. A lot of people don't realize, marketing, advertising specific and lead generation advertising is not an expense if it works. If it works and you're getting a return and you're profitable with it, you can't spend enough. Right. So we got to the point where 10 turned into 20, 20 turned into 50, 50 turned into 150. So over the course of a few years, we couldn't help but grow, because every day we weren't spending money on ads. We were like, we're losing opportunity.
Yeah.
And it was crazy where there were days where, I'm down to my last dollar and I'm ticked off because I'd reinvested that in ads and I wanted to put in more and I just didn't have the cash flow to do it because we were growing too quickly.
Yeah.
I would tell my wife, hey, yeah, we're going to go through another growth period. And she's like, please, no. And I'd be like, yeah, we're going to kill it. We're going to double sales now in 30 days. She's like, please don't do it. She's like, I'm sick of being broke.
Wow.
And that's what happened. I remember walking into the Google campus in Cambridge and getting invited there by my account managers and reps there and having lunch there. And I remember asking them, we couldn't spend more than 150,000 a month because you can't invent more Google searches.
Yeah.
And me telling them, hey guys, I want to spend 200,000 a month. How am I going to make up this $50,000 deficit per month in investment? And they actually couldn't figure it out. They're like, we don't have more searches we can create. We can't create more searches.
Wow.
So if you capitalize on a particular channel the right way, you can't spend enough. And that's what the big boys have already figured out. You make your money back in day one and you reinvest that money. Now you're working on an infinite return on investment and you can keep going and your growth can be scary fast without investors because you're just reinvesting profits. Boom, 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 boom. And you're up 2,000% in a couple of years and you don't know how you did it. And I don't suggest it because it's so cash intensive. And you consume so many resources in that hyper growth. If you're doing it with your own money, be careful. If you're doing it with an investor, go crazy. Just make sure you're not giving out too much of a share.
I love it. I love it. So, Nik, I want to continue. We're going to take a break right now, everyone. So stay right where you are because we're going to be right back with more of the Media Boss podcast talking to Nik Tsoukales. Stay right where you are. We'll be right back. How are you going to learn everything you need to know about starting a podcast? Well, at the Create Your Podcast Weekend, we put it all in 2 days and help you get your podcast going by next week. That's right, by next week. All you have to do is come to the Create Your Podcast Weekend and let us show you how to get your podcast up and running. We will show you how to attract listeners. We will show you how to get people to pay you for your products and services. What products and services? The products and services we show you how to create all at the Create Your Podcast Weekend. All you have to do is go to createyourpodcastweekend.com and get registered today. And we have special bonuses. Some of you will even get us to give you the equipment to start your podcast. That's right. We're going to give some of you the podcasting equipment to get started. Go to createyourpodcastweekend.com. That's createyourpodcastweekend.com and get started on your podcast by next week. Starting a podcast can be a daunting task. There's a lot that goes into it, and you're probably wondering if you're able to handle it. Well, why don't you just take 2 days and let us teach you how to do it at the Create Your Podcast Weekend. That's right. We're going to show you all the aspects of how to start your podcast, how to keep your podcast going, how to attract listeners, and how to make money with your podcast. CreateYourPodcastWeekend.com. Get registered right now. Welcome back, everybody, to the Media Boss Podcast. I am Dr. Barrett Matthews, and my guest, Nik Tsoukales, is here, and he is killing it, guys. He's killing it. He's given us some great information about how to market your business, how to set up the marketing, and how to outsource your business. So, Nik, I want to ask you, before we wrap up, what changes do you see on the horizon for both outsourcing and for marketing in general?
No, it's interesting, right? When they say yin, I always say yang. I'm a big fan of the term. It's a Greek word, contra, right? Contra, we say. Contra means just going against the crowd, going against the grain. And we've obviously, especially because of COVID, but over the last few years, we've had this huge push to do everything digital. And we reap the rewards of that. It's been a great time. Like to grow a business in a time where businesses are shutting down is a blessing, and we're thankful for it. But I think there's actually now an opportunity. Continue your, even us as an agency, right? We're continuing our digital growth, but we've actually found that while all the other agencies are putting all of their resources into digital, we think it's an important time to carve out some of your resources. And maybe that's an hour a day, maybe that's time and energy, maybe that's expenses or marketing expenses, and use those resources to go back into the real world. So I walk into a business and I have a meeting with an owner right now. They're like, man, I haven't seen a person in the few years. Like, it's so nice to see you and shake your hand, and it creates a sense of trust.
Yeah.
I think right now that's going to be a competitive advantage for the owners, the salespeople, and the business development people that can show up. I think they're going to have, I know they're going to have a leg up, even if they're running digital businesses. Digital's not going away. It's going to expand. It's going to be massive. But I would advocate for all of you business owners, get out there into the real world, document it in a digital way. Okay. So if I'm going to a meeting, I'm going to document it. I just met with Leo. I just met with John, right? Put it out there, create your media, right? Amplify what you're doing in the real world, but don't stop doing the real world stuff. Add it into your regimen. One thing that I've been doing, it's just called one-a-days, and it's a simple concept, right? It's super old school. It's literally every single business day, Monday through Friday, I'm either going to meet a client face-to-face, a networking opportunity face-to-face, or a potential prospective client, right? Once a day. And if it's 3 o'clock and I haven't hit that number yet, I'm getting in my car and I'm going to see someone. I'm doing a pop-in visit. I think that's going to be the big thing ongoing for people that want to have a bit of an edge. And I think that's going to be the way to create even more media. When I document visiting a client, it's giving me more than I can put out on my social media.
That is true.
Versus me just being a talking head and doing a video from my desk.
That's very true.
Interesting. So I think that's our big thing.
I like that. I like that so much. So Nik, before I let you go, I want to have you just let the audience know that anything that you're working on that they can be a part of, or anything that you want to let them know about.
Yeah, if you are self-employed, you're a business leader, and you have, let's say 20 or more employees, and really you're looking for to build out a marketing team, but you're not there yet. You can't afford to have the SEO guy, the Google guy, the social guy, the graphics designer guy. We operate more as a fractional marketing department for these larger small businesses to medium businesses. So if you're looking to really grow digitally, please reach out. Our website is realtop.com, REALTOP.com, Realtop being really at the top of the rankings, right? We do a free marketing strategy session. The only parameter we have is we rarely work with startups, so we take those case by case basis. So you have to be an established business. Do not worry about how you're going to get your clients. Everything is consultative. And what we'll do is we'll just have a strategy session. And what we mentioned before, if something's working, maybe we can help amplify that. We don't need to completely re-engineer your business to grow sales. A lot of times we can just augment what's already working and help you just outsource the whole process to a team. We have email experts here and graphic design experts and SEO experts. You might only need them an hour a month. So you don't need to buy them for the whole month. You just buy them on a fractional basis through our agency.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, man. You're welcome. Come back anytime. I appreciate you so much for being on the podcast, and wish you nothing but the best, my friend.
Thank you. God bless you.
All right, guys. That was Nik Tsoukales here on the Media Boss Podcast. And I, of course, have a gift for you guys. Guess what? I'm going to give you my complimentary training on how to get more paying clients for yourself. How would you like that? So all you have to do is go to www.5waystoPayingClients.com. www.5waystoPayingClients.com. So guys, we're going to get ready get out of here. You know, our media boss out in a minute. But what I want to do is take a quick break. We'll be right back to say goodbye. Why should you contact Media Boss Club right now? Well, because you can get a podcast done for you. You can learn all the aspects that go into putting together a great podcast and have someone else do it for you. That's right. We will build your podcast around your content and make it so you can concentrate on the money-making activities of your business. Contact MediaBossClub.com. That's MediaBossClub.com today and let us get your podcast started right now. Let's face it, you've been talking about starting a podcast for quite some time, but you haven't started yet. Why is that? Could it be that you just don't have the time because your day-to-day keeps you so busy? Or could it be that you don't want to learn all the technical aspects that go into putting together a quality podcast? Well, at Media Boss Club, we take care of that for you. How would you like to have a done-for-you experience? That's right. At Media Boss Club, we build your podcast for you. We will edit your podcast. We will put in the music for you. We even put in commercial breaks that you can put your advertisers in. We will take care of all of the uploading to the great podcast platforms that are out there. That's right, we do everything. All you have to do is just right now go to MediaBossClub.com. That's MediaBossClub.com and let us handle the heavy lifting for you. Everybody, welcome back to the Media Boss Podcast. I'm Dr. Barrett Matthews, and man, was Nik Tsoukales fantastic, or was he fantastic? I'm just saying. So, guys, it's time to get out of here. So, one thing I want to make sure you all are doing, if you want to support the podcast, go to our Patreon page. Go to patreon.com/Media Boss Podcast. Make sure you check us out. If you want to support us, we have some great perks for you guys who are there. Also, I just gave you guys my complimentary training, 5 ways to paying clients.com. Go there and check it out and learn some things about how you can get more paying clients for yourself. Now, for those of you who are serious about taking your business to another level when it comes to media and really reaching out to people in podcasting, in books, magazines, blogging, social media, film, and even streaming television, your own TV channel, if you want to do that, check out my Make Money from Media Challenge. All you have to do is go to makemoneyfrommediachallenge.com. It's a 5-day challenge that's going to show you how you can incorporate all of those things in your business. Now, for those of you who are interested in doing your own podcast, if you want to have a podcast or having a podcast done for you, I want you to text me. I'm going to give you this number, 929-244-4323. Text the word podcast to that number, and we'll get you set up with that. And lastly, but not least, I want to make sure everyone subscribes to the Media Boss Podcast and that you share this with everyone. So it's time to get out of here. And you know what we do every time it's time to leave the Media Boss Podcast. Ready? Here we go. Media Boss out.